The Sisters Grimm podcast is intended for mature audiences only. Please listen at your own discretion. Tiptoe through the window.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
The most notorious serial killer in the nation, the Night Stalker.
The Boston Strangler.
The Son of Sam. The infamous Zodiac Killer.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Get away from her, you bitch!
Welcome to the Sisters Grimm podcast.
How'd you do this? Show you.
I forgot how you start a podcast.
Honestly, same.
So, hey everybody. Did you think we were... Oh,
I fucked up already.
Were we doing that one
I guess.
improv game?
Hey, everybody. We're back.
Yeah, finally.
Finally, you
We
guys.
took a 6-month hiatus because...
Because both of our computers broke.
a series of unfortunate events, as we always say. I know we always,
Yeah.
come
And now
up
we're
with some
back.
bullshit.
It's Mercury in retrograde, and everything's fucked up.
Yeah, and, in this economy...
Honestly.
So, I mean, obviously a lot of fucking shit.
So much shit has happened.
You guys.
Halloween happened. We basically missed that on here.
I mean, literally, so many things relevant to our podcast, for sure.
Well, so the whole reason that we picked... Okay, so basically this episode is about Dennis Rader, aka BTK.
Well, yeah, they would know that by, the title of the podcast.
Totally.
When they,
but in
download
case
it.
anyone just blindly clicked on it without thinking... This episode's on Dennis Rader.
AKA the BTK Killer.
Yeah, but we picked this one because the new season of Mindhunters came out. But now it's been months since that came out.
Oh, now it's been categorically...
Because it was, September when that happened, maybe?
Who even knows? I don't even know.
Who even knows?
What?
So what's been new in the life of Holly?
Well, shut the fuck up. We see each other almost every day.
Yeah.
Back to Mindhunter.
Yeah.
We kind of... all of Mindhunter were the first season, basically all of the cold opens were
literally every cold open except for the first.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was all of them or every other or
it's most.
It's the majority. And then in the second season, it obviously, if you haven't seen it already, becomes more prevalent and they get more involved in it because that's how it was in real life with John Douglas, who was the actual guy who started the behavioral science unit at the FBI, or kind of started it. No, he did. Also, weird thing that ties in with so genuine. I was watching this movie called I Am Not a Serial Killer, which I like thinking of them saying it, I am not a serial killer.
That's just so what a serial killer would say.
Well, it's about this kid, and he is a psychopath, and he's trying not to be a serial killer, but he's in high school, and he writes a paper about BTK and gets sent to the principal's office. And his
you were telling you put that on your Facebook or something.
And because then his friend's your Jeffrey Dahmer paper didn't go over very well either.
So he only writes papers about serial killers.
Basically.
Honestly, same.
I mean, high school, I guess, is different, and you have to be careful with deets. But I mean, in my psychology classes, I wrote about serial killers. But I mean, that's because it's
I'm trying to think
psychology.
If I did. I don't think I did.
Nah. So anyway, BTK, aka Dennis Rader, aka
Bad Boy Raids.
Denny Raids, yeah. First things first, I would just like to say that I think this was the first thing I learned when I started researching him.
I actually don't know a ton about I know a lot more about other serial killers, obviously the ones that we've covered, but BTK, I really don't know a ton. I've just seen the photos.
The photos, you haven't listened to any other oh yeah, the photos are fun.
Well, I've listened to stuff about it, but
you just didn't really like retain.
I only have
really.
so much room in my brain.
Oh my god, I don't know how to do long division anymore.
I tried doing long subtraction the other day.
It's not called long subtraction,
but it was 3-digit subtraction, and I was like, wow, Morgan.
Yeah.
I forgot how.
There's a reason there's, like, where was your phone? Where were you where you couldn't get to your phone? Or were you just, like, trying to do it? Oh,
and I had a calculator, but I was like, God damn it, I should be able to do this. I figured it out, but,
I mean, when you don't do it for a while, you're like, oh, right, I have to go grab a number from that number.
Yeah, for sure.
So, anyway...
yeah, that's what fucked me up, because I was like, all right, so I did that, and now what's the next step? But you put a 1 in front of the... I got it, you guys.
You guys, numbers are crazy, man. Yeah. So, he called his penis Sparky. Like...
Dennis Rader?
Yeah.
As a young child?
No, just in general. I just thought that's how I would start the podcast.
Yeah.
That's like the first thing I read when I started.
Old Sparky?
No, just Sparky.
Why?
Old Sparky is the name of the electric chair that killed Ted Bundy.
Yeah, the one in Florida. That's why I was like, that's ironic.
It murdered him.
Isn't it ironic?
Don't you think? Okay, so Dennis Rader was born March 9th, 1945. Hold on, I need to a little bit clear my throat. And I also need to turn my phone on night shift mode. Because everybody, like, once it becomes... Oh, I guess it's not late.
Blue light is bad for your peepers.
Yep. Sponsored by the Sisters Grimm, Optometrics.
You don't even know words.
I don't know words at all.
It's been a while, you guys.
It's been a while. So
it's been a while.
Dennis Rader was born...
Sorry.
Cracking yourself up. March 9th, 1945, near Wichita, Kansas, where he grew up on his grandparents' farm. His parents were William Elvin Rader and Dorothea May Cook. Dennis was the brother... Dennis was the oldest of 4 sons, so he was the older brother. The family went to Zion Lutheran Church, where Dennis was baptized, which, if you're unfamiliar with a Lutheran baptism, like, halfway through the service, the, like, parents and baby go up, and the pastor just kind of, like, flicks water at the baby.
Yeah, it's kind of like... drip it on their head.
And it usually cries a lot. Mm-hmm. Or it's just, like, passed out or something.
But then in Presbyterian, they do the same thing, but it's when you're, like, 13, so it's even more awkward.
That's, like, different. That was, they do it also when you were a baby in Presbyterian, but, like, I got it done.
Yeah, I'm only talking about what I've seen happen to you.
Yeah. Well, and I also cried a lot.
No.
I know. It was awkward and I looked weird. So, Dennis attended Riverside Elementary School. Go
Whoa.
Lions. He went to Wichita Heights High School. Go Falcons. And
what? Why do you know these mascots?
I don't know. I got curious. Okay. And he worked at a local IGA grocery store where his mother worked as a bookkeeper. I have also worked at an IGA grocery store. I mean,
wait, why would there be bookkeepers at a grocery store?
Because it was, like, the 40s or, like, the 60s, so they didn't have, like, computers or anything to do it, so they needed someone to,
Time.
He graduated from high school and went to Kansas Wesleyan University. Go Coyotes. But only attended 2 years because in 1968 he joined the United States Air Force and served until 1970. When Dennis returned, he moved to Park City, Kansas, and went back to work at the old IGA. On March 21st, 1971, he married Paula Dietz, and they had a son and a daughter. Dennis went back to school, and in 1973, he earned his associate's degree in electronics at Butler Community College. Go Pioneers.
Oh my fucking God.
He went on to Wichita State University. Go Shockers. And graduated in 1979 with a bachelor's degree in administrative justice. In 1974, he began working for ADT Security Service. In 1989, he became a census taker. In 1997, he was a supervisor of the Park City Compliance Department.
But ADT is where he worked for a while, right?
He worked there for a decent amount of time, yes.
Yeah.
So,
like, all of the stuff that's happening in, like,
all the ADT stuff happened, like, in the first season.
Right. So that's, like, when all of this happened was, like,
Yeah, I mean, like, I go back. This is just like a brief overview.
Oh.
Okay, so he served on multiple county boards, was elected president of the Congregational Council at Christ Lutheran Church, and was a Cub Scout leader. On paper, Dennis Rader seems like your average dude. He went to school, he served his country, he
Worked
had
a lot of jobs.
Yeah, he worked in his community.
Went to a bunch of different schools. So many different mascots.
Go Shocker.
Shocker.
Yeah, that's
What are they, like electricity?
Oh, I was thinking of, the Shocker.
Like Dane Cook, the Shocker?
No,
Two in the pink, one in the spink?
No, his in the spink. Okay, no, his was like Yuffie, or like his was something weird. His was not the Shocker.
It was the Shocker.
No, it was something else.
He called it like multiple things.
I don't know. It's like whatever. Dane Cook, so
Have you ever
relevant.
been a Shocker?
Stop.
Sorry, that
This morning.
by yourself maybe.
Yeah. So, yeah, again, like, heavily involved in his church. But Dennis had been keeping a dark secret for over 30 years. In 2005, the world learned about his sadistic lifestyle that he had kept hidden from everyone, and it was only then that it was finally revealed that he was BTK.
Dun, dun, dun.
One of the world's most notorious serial killers.
So what's always been crazy to me about BTK is how long he was a serial killer for without getting caught. Because most serial killers like aren't good at having cooling off periods, but it seems like that he was very good at that.
Yeah, I'll get into more of that like when I like in the next episode.
When we hit that.
Well, when we get to the episode, because this is his childhood, obviously.
Yeah, guys, this is going to be a multiple parter, probably
2, maybe 3. Who knows?
Who knows?
We might get crazy. So yeah, I'll go into that more, but yeah, like there's a reason for the cooling off periods, and he was a smart killer to be, not to toot his own horn.
Right.
So John Douglas, as we were talking about before, was the FBI's behavioral science unit. He was a huge part of the BTK case, obviously as seen in the show. And the information that John Douglas writes about in his book called Inside the Mind of BTK is where I was able to learn about BTK's childhood, because when you look about it online, it's not super duper easy.
Yeah, stuff like that is usually not super easy to find, because why would anyone want to look into it?
Yeah.
Because you're us.
So, honey, you gotta do the work.
Honey, we shrunk the kids.
Honey.
P.S. everyone, Disney Plus
Honey, oh my
slaps.
God. Yeah, can we take a quick tangent here to talk about how amazing
how hard Disney
Empire
Plus slaps
Strikes Back looks in 4K.
Holly and I are rewatching all of the Star Wars movies right now.
Oh my God.
After this, we're gonna watch
Return of the Jedi. Oh God, I'm so fucking excited.
And you got those cookies that have Star Wars things on them.
Yeah, and I got Star Wars cookies. This episode brought to you by
Cookies.
I was gonna say. Okay, anyhoozle. So, la 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 la. So yeah, read the book. It's a good book. And there isn't any record of Rader being sexually or physically abused as a child, which in previous cases would have helped explain how Rader became a serial killer. His habits didn't really match.
Not to interrupt you or anything.
No, please.
But
interrupt
I
the fuck
feel
out
like
of me.
a lot of the, not to say better serial killers, but the more controlled ones tend to be the ones that didn't have that crazy early trauma. Jeffrey Dahmer, fucked up and did some crazy shit. He was a little more controlled basically until the end.
Yeah, I mean,
because he also didn't have anything like that. Really.
Well, he had kind of a weird relationship with his parents. Not super weird, but it was weird sometimes. Whereas Dennis Rader's childhood seems totally normal. He didn't have a rough home life. Again, he wasn't sexually abused. He didn't have negligent parents. He didn't have a criminal history. Nothing explained what made Dennis turn into a sadistic psychopath. That is, until John Douglas spent hours interviewing people who knew Dennis as a kid. He read Dennis's personal journals, and he also interviewed Dennis a lot. Yeah. So Douglas describes Dennis.
I can't wait till it gets to that part in the TV show.
I know. Oh, are you more excited for the TV show than our podcast?
No, but I was just thinking about how great that's going to be.
I mean, that show slaps.
Slaps.
It's so good. If you have never seen it, which I'm sure y'all have. So...
We know y'all have.
Yeah. So Douglas describes Dennis as a demon seed, meaning he was just born evil, which I never really thought about really being like a thing.
That's almost scarier.
But in Dennis Rader's case, like, I get it. Some people are just wired differently.
Yeah.
And experiences that, like, a quote-unquote normal person wouldn't be affected by deeply affected Rader. And Rader even called himself, he called the phenomenon he called it Factor X. And it
sounds like what turned the Powerpuff Girls into the Powerpuff Girls. But I think that was Chemical X.
You sounded...
Anybody?
Like, going somewhere, Mr. Potter? You sounded like Snape,
All right.
Severus, Dumbledore.
What a weird tangent.
No, it was cute. So... Rader was like a dork, and he like named he was like so obsessed. He was an egomaniac.
Yeah.
But so like Factor X or whatever, according to BTK, is
That's
like
so lame.
Yeah, he
That
also
is the
came up with
lamest thing ever. He's like, that was my superpower.
Dude,
when I murdered people and put on their panties.
Stop it. He just jerked off into them. So anyway, so like I said earlier, Dennis grew up on his grandparents' farm. His whole family lived there with his grandparents, and he was like always surrounded by family. When he was really little, he would sit on the front porch and watch his grandmother slaughter chickens, which is when, you know, you like grab them by the head and just swing them around and round until they're like heads pop off.
Oh my god, that's what they do?
You don't know that's how you do it? Yeah,
I thought you
wring
just
their necks.
cut their neck.
Well, back in the day when you were like a farmer, Mom watched... It's not that
That's
weird.
traumatizing.
It's not that weird.
Nope, that's traumatizing.
It's not that weird. It's not... I'm here to
I
tell
know
you...
it's not that weird.
I'm here
and
to
that,
tell
that
you
happens,
that
but that's...
Yeah, if you grew up
the other
on
day
a farm,
we were watching back to Disney Plus. We were watching James and the Giant Peach, and like when they were catching the birds, it was like making me legitimately sad.
I know, and they were made out of clay, and Morgan was like really having a moment.
I was like, aww.
And then I just like didn't. That movie is so Roald Dahl, you guys.
Anything that happens to animals, just like I cannot handle it.
I could not handle that steampunk shark.
Oh, that was metal, dude.
That was like punk rock. So, young Dennis would watch his grandmother do this with deep fascination, watching the headless chickens run around with blood spurting out of their gaping necks. Jeez. Like I said, by no means does watching slaughtering chickens or actually doing it yourself make someone a psychopath, but in Dennis's case, he became very aroused at the sight of the dying chickens. Douglas says that, like, on this experience, that Dennis's impressionable mind was developing, and he began associating death with sexual arousal. So there's really no way to explain why watching killing chickens being killed in the first place would make him horny and stuff, but that's what ultimately happened. So like I said before, Dennis gave himself the nickname BTK, which in serial killer world is lame as fuck.
Yeah, but it stands for bind, torture, kill.
Exactly, because that's what he did to his
It's
victims.
not that lame. BTK is a lot cooler than like whatever he called himself.
Oh, the other names? Yeah.
What was it called again? Something X?
They're really... Oh, that Factor X thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into more of... He had pitches. He, like, workshops.
You like making up your own nicknames. That's not a nickname, you guys. Like, you have to be... Someone has to give you a nickname.
Yeah, you have
for it to stick and be real. You can't just be like, oh yeah, my friends call me... Like, you know?
Yeah, you can't do that. Be like, hey, call me T-Bone. And it's like, fuck you, Mark. He liked to kill his victims. He was obsessed with tying them up and watch them struggle to free themselves, all while knowing that they would never get away from him. And this most likely stems from an experience he had when he was pretty little. He went into his mother's bedroom and saw that she had somehow tangled herself up in the bed sheets, and she was completely trapped. Maybe making the bed was, like, really hard in the 40s.
I hate making the fucking bed.
And was somehow she got, like, the sheets tangled on the wrought iron headboard, and she had worked herself up into a panic and was, like, thrashing around. But Dennis just stood there and watched as his mother was, like, crying out for help. And the image of watching his half-naked mother struggling and bound by the Sheets stuck with Rader and eventually became his MO because he loved watching someone bound up and scared shitless.
Okay.
So Dennis describes his father as he described his father as a good man who only really got angry when he worked really late and just wanted some peace and quiet. I mean, he had 4 sons that had to be like, shut the fuck up, y'all. So his mother, Dorothea, was described as looking like a Hollywood movie star, and some people said she looked like Natalie Wood, an actress who was allegedly
Who said that? Him? Because he had a crush on her?
No. No, but she was a snack. But I think he maybe did have... Well, so Dennis has both confirmed and denied that he would become aroused when his mother would spank him. Okay. Which is like... I think I'm pretty sure you did. If you said it, like, you're thinking about it, we're talking about it, it happened.
But, like, how old is he that he was getting spanked? Like,
little. I mean, he was getting...
So he was getting aroused at, like, age, 5?
Yeah, he was, little when he was, having those chicken experiences. So, like I said, Dennis was always surrounded by family, and he became really close with his older cousin, Larry. Dennis recalls one night he heard his parents talking about Larry and how he'd been swimming at a pond with a friend when the friend dove into the pond and never resurfaced. Apparently, realizing that his friend just wasn't there anymore, Larry just walked home and calmly told his parents that his friend had disappeared while they were swimming. Larry's parents were like, what the fuck? And pressed him for more details, but Larry was just like, I don't know, never came up, so I decided to come home. Allegedly, the boy's body was found later dead, face down in the pond. But this is all allegedly. Dennis was in awe of how nonchalant his cousin was about the death of his friend and was fascinated by someone being so unaffected by another person's death. In an interview, one of Dennis's elementary school friends remembered a time in 6th grade when the weather was so shitty outside, snowing like fuck, and the class had to stay inside for recess. And to pass the time, Dennis and some friends decided to design what Rader called the girl trap. The idea was obviously 100% Rader's, but he talked his friends into it because they were like, yeah, girls, ew, gross, we're kids.
Yuck!
So Dennis drew a castle with a dungeon, secret rooms, hallways, and staircases where there were dead ends. He was inspired by Chicago serial killer H.H. Holmes, who killed his people in his murder castle because Dennis was very much into true crime. So the girl trap worked like this. A girl would walk in the door where she would be immediately tied up. She would ride... What? I don't know. He's 12
because if it's people's hands, that's not a trap. That's called assault.
It falls down on her like a booby trap. You can't pull strings on this.
Okay.
So she would ride on a conveyor belt through various torture devices and then would eventually fall through a trap door into the dungeon where she would be further tortured more. Dennis was really feeling himself while drawing up the blueprints to the scariest place imaginable. His friends started getting really weirded out.
Yeah.
Eventually, Dennis was so excited and he was getting so loud that the teacher came over to ask,
what was going on?
Yeah. The friend...
it sounds like out of a movie.
I know. The friend who was being interviewed remember feeling ashamed and really embarrassed that he'd taken part in something so gross.
Yeah.
But Dennis turned into a chatterbox and explained the entire girl trap to his teacher enthusiastically.
Huh.
Yeah. She probably had a bottle of tequila.
She was probably horrified.
Yeah. She probably went home and cried.
Oh, God. Yeah. The shit teachers have to deal with.
Honestly, poor teachers. When the friend was being interviewed and telling this story, he started crying hysterically because he was unable to understand how he could have been friends with such a monster.
When you're that little, you don't know.
Exactly, you don't know. So, as a kid, Dennis was, as we all were, obsessed with strings and chords.
Okay,
He would go dumpster diving for strings and chords and would practice knots on himself. And he even joined the Boy Scouts to learn more about knots. One day, during his adolescence time, so he's a little older, kind of I don't know, junior high age maybe, Dennis wandered into the field from his family's farm, and once he decided that he was completely alone, he would lay down on the dirt, tie up his ankles and wrists, and it was during one of these little self-bondage sessions that Dennis came for the first time. He would just wiggle in the dirt.
Awesome.
He had never felt anything like it before, and he became obsessed with doing the same thing to a girl. But, like other serial killers, he practiced on cats and dogs.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he would take a cat or dog out to an abandoned barn and perform his disgusting binding ritual on his animal victims, pretending they were human females as the animals would thrash around in their bindings. I'm writing, like, the way I'm writing this is so much, like...
less detailed
than the way I had to read it. I felt so grossed out.
It's like literally tears in my eyes.
Yeah, I felt really fucked up reading it. Watching the animals struggle and seeing them die aroused Dennis so much that after the animal was dead, he would masturbate onto the dead body while thinking about tying up a woman so tight that the rope would dig through her skin, making her bleed as she begged for her life. Yeah, he was fucked up. So Dennis...
This is early, you guys!
Yeah, no, he was messed up from, like, the get-go. Yeah. Dennis, like, kept to himself mostly when he was a kid. He, like, tried staying under the radar. The Dennis...
Stop.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
When Dennis's family got a TV, he would watch the Mickey Mouse Club and imagine driving to California and kidnapping Annette Funicello and torturing her.
Okay, so that was his celeb crush.
Well, yeah, like... He was so weird. He also got into horror movies, especially ones with mummies, because of the cloth wrapped around their bodies.
Interesting.
He and his friends would spend their Friday nights watching horror movies, playing a game to see who could watch the longest without getting too scared. Needless to say, Dennis was really good at the game.
I'm guessing, yeah.
Yeah. But as Dennis got older, his friends ditched staying in, watching horror movies on Friday nights, and started going to a local teenage hangout called The Big Spot.
What? The Big Spot.
I know. People would go to, like, finger each other and
this
do,
was
like...
in Wichita?
Yeah, and, like, do mouth stuff.
Cool.
But Dennis wasn't interested and instead worked at the IGA store and would read his true crime books and detective magazines. And we all love true crime. Obs. We're talking right now about it, and you guys are listening.
So we're all here for it,
and
right?
And we aren't serial killers because we're interested in true crime. And that doesn't make you a murderer. However, Douglas speculates that Rader's love for true crime didn't make him a killer. It only fueled his pre-existing sexually violent fantasies. So another pastime Dennis had was shooting rats.
I thought you were going to say shooting rap videos.
No, you didn't.
Which would have been such a different thing. Shooting rats.
Yeah, so. He had one friend and they would go out and shoot rats. People also said that Dennis had unrealistic goals and would say things like how he was going to grow up to be a rocket scientist, and everyone was like, what?
Right.
After high school, a friend told Dennis that he needed to quit his job at the grocery store and go to college. So Dennis went to Kansas Wesleyan, where he really liked it because he could walk around campus and nobody knew who he was. He started dating.
That is the cool thing about college.
Yeah, well, unless you're one of those people who, like, goes to school with, like, everyone you went to high school with.
Yeah,
but, like,
if you go to a community college or something.
Yeah, but, like, yeah, no, it is, like, wow, like, none of these people know who I am. Weird. He started dating, but when it came to sex, he was not good at it. And by not good at it, I mean he didn't have sex with his dates. Rader said that in high school, the only sex advice his father ever gave him was, if you're ever alone with a girl, don't lie down on the sofa together. Which is confusing. Like, is he saying only fuck on a bed?
You can do a lot of stuff sitting up on the sofa.
Yeah.
You know?
Or, like, does he think fucking should be exclusive to beds? Is couch fucking gross?
No,
I don't
it's
know.
Great.
I love it. That's the best. Since his fuck style was literally non-existent, Dennis would get off by breaking into people's homes and would sometimes steal women's underwear and then would take them home and masturbate into them. While in college, the Vietnam War started, and so the draft was starting to be employed, but Dennis really didn't want to be drafted because even though he fantasized about killing people, he didn't want to do it in a war scenario. And so before he could be drafted, he signed himself up for the Air Force. And he liked the Air Force because he got to tell people what to do. And he loved wearing a uniform because it made him feel very powerful.
Yeah.
So he's like one of those people who, like, you know, really respects cops, like wants cops to like him, likes being an authority figure, likes being like the leader. Dennis, while in the Air Force, began drinking a lot, and he went to lots of bars, and he would pick up sex workers. And it was here when Dennis says he lost his virginity. He liked the sex workers, but it just was not what he was into. And whenever he would try to tie them up, they'd be like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, nope.
So he went back to his old ways of just wandering off until the coast was clear and wiggle around on the ground while bound up and would jerk off.
So he wasn't able to, like, come by just, like, regular stuff.
He just would have to jerk off on the ground like no one was watching.
That's not what we all really do.
Like serial killers, they tend to get bored pretty easily, and he was getting bored with the Air Force and drinking and having sex with sex workers, so eventually he went back to Wichita and renewed his faith in God and wanted to get married and have a family. He probably had a sense of, like, shame, maybe in what he was doing, and figured, like, doing something normal might curb his feelings because, you know, he had that Factor X. I want to say X Factor.
God.
But
it literally is the X Factor.
It really is the X Factor.
He came up with the X Factor, the TV show.
Oh my God. Did he, though? I don't know. So, anyhoozle, so when he came home to Kansas, it was 1970, and his mom told him that there was a girl at church who was perfect for him, and her name was Paula Dietz. Paula was from Park City, and Dennis was very attracted to her blonde hair and blue eyes. They started dating, and after a short period of time, they ended up getting married. But Dennis didn't love Paula, but he knew being married was the normal thing to do, and would be the best way to cover up his secret thoughts and urges. And although Dennis played the part of a doting husband and father, he still could not shake the desire to kill.
Yeah. To bind, even torture.
And then
ultimately kill.
And then kill. So this is kind of a short episode.
But also powerful. That was a lot of information I did not know. And this is just like a little preemie, you guys. Wait, I shouldn't have said that.
Oh, no. No, you didn't.
This is a small episode, but we're going to get into so much more about this guy in the next episode.
Oh, God. I mean, like, once we get to the killings, that's when, like, all the information comes. But we wanted to, like, put something out, and I've had these notes for his childhood, because, like I said, there's not, like, a whole lot. Yeah. It's basically just going
Sometimes stuff like that. I mean, like, and even everything we have, while I definitely, like, believe most of it, like, you never even know.
Exactly.
You know? Like, it's all hearsay, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
Really
there was
fucked up.
one time where, like, he was, like, leaving youth group one time, like, when he was in high school, and he, like, freaked out on a bunch of people. Like, he was pulling a prank, but then he, like, got mad at them. Like, there's a lot of little stories that just are a lot of little red, by little I mean big
red flags.
Big waving flags that are red. And that has been the childhood of the BTK Killer.
That was some real fucked up shit, y'all. And
yeah, he was a fucked up little kid. He
definitely. He was like not like hit in the head. He didn't like wet the bed.
No,
he did
not
have sex with Fred.
Shut the fuck
I don't
know. Drop dead Fred? No, he definitely did not fit the McDonald triad because he didn't seem fire interested, and he didn't wet the bed that I know of.
Yeah, at least we didn't hear about it.
He did get a boner when his mom spanked him, though, but that's not one of the things.
Ugh, that's like a new and disgusting thing that should be on the list.
It should be. I mean, like, the behavioral science unit, their, like, questionnaire thing was, like, 97 different, like, points. But that's another reason why this case it took so long to figure out, was because he was so different
than all
from
those people. And
all
like,
of the other people.
There was a lot of just things that don't like the cooling off periods.
Exactly.
And the
which again we'll get more into.
Yeah, we'll get more into it. I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, we don't. We're just giving y'all a little taste. That's gross. We're gonna go watch Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. We can't wait. The Ewoks are pretty fucked up.
Totally, dude.
They like eat people.
Ew.
Yeah, like when they kill those stormtroopers, they ate them.
Yeah.
And then they're like playing the bongos on their helmets.
Okay. Bye, guys.